So, and today we're gonna talk through some Reddit cool guides. And yeah, it is again another Reddit episode. I don't actually know if I should feel sorry, but I really enjoyed them. And I kind of also believe that there is a lot of value in them. But on the other hand, I could definitely call them better. Not always like Reddit questions and Reddit's going through thing and whatnot. But yeah, the first guide that I'm having here is actually, by the way, let me just... slippery slope. I don't want to have that. This is actually a very, very interesting thing because I've never thought that there is actually a difference. And so how to sound like a frog in 10 languages. So in German we are saying quack, quack. This is how a frog is doing. This is the sound of a frog. But apparently in English it is ribbit, ribbit. And in Italian it is kra kra or kra kra or whatever. In Turkish it is vrak. In Polish it is kum kum or kam kam, or however it is actually pronounced. In Korean it is gaokul. In Thai it is op op. In Chinese it's gua gua. And in Hungarian it is brekeke. And in Japanese it is karo karo. Which is very interesting, if you think about it, because I just only know it in my language. I just only know it in German, like quack. This is how a frog is doing. And if somebody does quack, I say, well, this is the sound of a frog, And I really have never thought about the fact or the thing that it could be something different in a different language, because I thought, well, it is based on how a fucking frog is doing. So yeah, of course, there might just be different frogs that are just doing or making different sounds, which then is the basis of the whole origin of, I don't want to say the word, but, the sound quite, that we think the animal is quite doing, I guess. Let me actually close down a few things. What depression can look like. High functioning depression. What people see, jokes and smiles. What is actually happening, and difficulty accepting and expressing painful emotions. Then what people see, caring for others. What is actually happening, feeling undeserving of the same love. Then again, high achieving, imposter syndrome, feeling undeserving of it, constantly busy, struggling to be alone with thoughts, unshakable in tough times, numb and apathetic to the outcome, working long hours, distracting from their own suffering. Yeah. And I don't know, I just know the last one. I really know that. And I'm often thinking about it, I want to have a job that is consuming me so that I don't have to think, so that there's nothing on my mind. Which, I could say, okay, it's the flow state. It is what you're doing in a flow state, But in the end, it's is it really about the flow state? Is it really about that? Is it really about, trying to be a high achiever? Is it really about that? Or is it really about, kind of passing time or trying to, at least do something that is seemingly sensical and not just very unsensical at all, or just entirely. This got inside of a nautical antique shop displaying all of the different flags sailors use. Well, I don't care. The deep trench of mathematics. Well, this is actually pretty interesting, So on the very top, we're having counting, human, subtraction, addition, multiplication. Then a little bit deeper, we're having calculus, limits, integration, which for me is already a pretty huge thing. Well, yeah, it depends. I think, yeah, anyway. Then eigenvalues or eigenvectors, convergence, Laplace transforms, or Fourier series, as well as Stokes' theorem and differential equations, and linear transformations. This is a little bit deeper as well. And then there is a gap which is called serious math. And afterwards we're having group theory, calculus of variations, stochastic calculus, topology, and even a bit further down we're having control theory, Gröbner basis or basis, algebraic number theory, Clifford algebra, Lie algebra, and the E7 Lie groups. And then there is another gap which is called genius level gap. And then we're having symplectic geometry, random matrices. P is NP, Young Mills, Birch and Swinnerton, Dyer conjecture, and Hodge conjecture. And then there is mathematical capacity of the human brain, advanced AI required after this point, another gap. Irrational pattern functions, system entropy, the convolution, polydimensional topology, one-time paths decryption, and random sequence extrapolation. Yeah, I don't know anything of these fucking things, but it kind of sounds, difficult. Hierarchy of debate. This is very interesting. This is very, very interesting. So in the very bottom, we're having name calling, which we all know, I guess, being called a name and or actually also calling somebody a name sounds something like you are an asshat. Ad hominem attacks the characteristics or authority of the writer without addressing the substance of the argument. Very interesting. Which is kind of it is some sort of name calling, but a little bit more severe. Responding to tone, criticizing the tone of the writing without addressing the substance of the argument. Well, kind of being about the style of it, and saying, well, you shouldn't write it in that way. It is bad writing and stuff. Contradiction states the opposing case with little or no supporting evidence. Counter argument, which is actually pretty high in this pyramid. Contradictions and then backs it up with reasoning and or supporting evidence. Then refutation finds the mistake and explains why it's mistaken using quotes. And then refuting the central point explicitly refutes the central point. Well, thank you for explaining that and pointing that out. Well, anyway. Yeah, pretty interesting, I gotta have to say that. And, well, I do think it's actually quite important to know these things because I don't know, when somebody's calling you names, then this person is I shouldn't maybe really debate with this person because I'm only gonna get called names or I'm only gonna be called names. So what's the point in doing that? What is the point in going ahead and, trying to make this person understand what the fuck I'm referring to or whatnot? 16 types of government. Well, I feel like it is important, even though I don't really want to go through it, but yeah, the way governments work. There we have a republic, a government whose authority is based on citizen voters, which are represented by elected or nominated officials chosen in free elections. We are having the Austrian Republic. But we are a democracy, which is the next point. Democracy means rule of the people. The term today refers to a political system in which the people or their elected representatives govern themselves. Then we have theocracy, a government where priests rule in the name of God or by officials who are regarded as divinely guided or consistent with the principle of a particular religion. Then autocracy, a government controlled by absolute power and in the hands of a single person with minimal restraints on the decision and lack of any mechanism of popular control. Technocracy, a government where scientists and technical experts are in control of the state and where rulers are selected on the basis of their knowledge, skill, rather than wealth and power, which, well, I do have to say, it really makes sense, but on the other hand, it also makes sense for people in a democracy or republic to vote people that know their craft, which apparently is quite not always the case, but anyway. Fascisms, a way of ruling that advocates total control over the people and seek to promote the ancestral and cultural values and eradicate foreign influences. Anarchy is a state of absence of law, a state of lawlessness and disorder, usually resulting from a failure of government. Then monarchy, a government where supreme authority is vested in a single and usually hereditary figure, such as a king, whose powers can vary from absolute to none at all. Well, yeah, isn't England or the United Kingdom also a monarchy, basically, because we have the queen, or they have the queen, but she's not having any power over quite anything. Not anymore, at least. Then there is oligarchy, rule of the few. This is a form of power structure in which power effectively rests with a fraction of persons or families. Then we're having plutocracy, government ruled by the rich or power provided by wealth, often used to describe a wealthy class ruling a government, often from behind the scenes. Then there's tyranny, government or authority of an absolute ruler, arbitrary exercise of power over subjects, not requisites for the purposes of government, approved by law and justice. A totalitarian system is one in which a single political authority regulates total control over state, that is centralized and dictatorial. Yeah. Then we have a federation, a political organization characterized by a union of small states, groups, and parties which are self-governed in internal affairs and are united under a central government. Then we have communism. As a system of government, communism is when the state owns and operates industry on behalf of the people. Junta refers to a group or a coalition that takes control over the state after overthrowing a government. Usually this is done by military groups. And then we have dictatorship, a form of government where the power rests entirely on one person or a group of persons. This rule could be acquired by inheritance or force and is usually oppressive. Yeah. Then there's actually drone survival guide. Well, let's skip that one. Alternative cuss words. Myth, Chucks, Rats, Gosh, Shizzle, Toot, Crapola, Jackwagon, Grutmuffin, Shut Your Pee Hole. I'm not having it. Great Googly Moogly. Great Caesar's Ghost. Greasy Louis. Mother Francis. Judas Priest. At the Tim Hawkins Handbook. The Tim Hawkins Handbook alternative cuss words field tested and mother approved. Well, let's actually have a look at it. I don't know why I'm interested, but snots, wingnuts, nerds, needs. Well, anyway, let's skip that one. Tools to manage anxiety. How to manage anxiety. Exercise, do yoga, or have a good stretch. Well, I mean, yeah, anyway. I mean, there's so often you see the same things. And so, yeah, I just don't want to go through it anymore. How to kill a tree. Well, that's interesting. Few residential trees die of old age. Mechanical damage and improper tree care kill more trees than any insects or diseases. Avoid making the tree damaging mistakes shown in the diagram below. Let's see. Top tree to encourage water sprouts. Leaf condominant leaders to encourage V growth and splitting during winds and storms. Leaf crossing branches to rub bank with. Well, I don't get any of it, so let's skip that away as well. Not away, but as well. The price of propaganda. Lobby for Elie by Elief. Well, in the very middle we're having, I don't actually know whom, to really be honest, but anyway. How Bitcoin mining works. Well, I actually don't know, so I'm interested. Bitcoins are mined from blocks. Each block is part of the blockchain. A ledger of all the transactions made using Bitcoin. Blocks are where the complex mathematical code is stored. To mine Bitcoins, users have to make a new block. Blocks are linked together by hash codes. To make a new block, miners have to come up with a new hash which meets specific requirements, such as including the header of the block before and being above or below the target value. This can be a process of trial and error until miners find a hash which works. Users must then solve the mathematical problem known as a proof of work problem using their computer CPU to run the problem-solving software. Each one is now worth 25 bitcoins. It was previously 50 bitcoins, but the figure is halved every 4 years to reduce the rate at which they are mined. Once the problem has been solved, the bitcoins are transferred to the miner's unique address. They can then make transfer using Bitcoin via their Bitcoin wallet. Interesting. Medieval trade routes. This is so interesting. But I do wonder if I can really zoom into it as far as I want. Well, I actually can. There is a few routes. There is the North Sea routes, the Spice routes, the Muslim Mediterranean routes, Christian Mediterranean routes, the Silk routes, European routes, Russian routes, South Asian routes, African routes, Arabian routes, East Asia routes. Yeah, and well, let's actually go through Europe where we are having it. Oh, where are we having it? And I see one going from Via Regia. You know, there is one that goes, well, actually pretty interesting. There is one going from Venice to Bratislava. Well, yeah, actually, from Venice to Bratislava over Belgrade. Yeah, and from there on, there's a little bit of crazy action there. And it is going all the way actually down to Amalfi. And, well, yeah. Then there is another one, which actually is, wow, from Santiago to, let's see, which is the Via Regia. It goes to Smolensk, or Kiev even, as well. Very, very, very interesting. You know, there's, of course, sea routes, and also in Africa, there are, you know, very, very big ones. Very interesting. You know, I just really enjoy these things. You know, things that I think I can learn something from, even though I don't really know. But yeah, anyway. Let's find one last one. Levels of sound for safe listening. Well, I don't care. Crypto scams. This is very informative for anyone looking to invest in cryptocurrency. I'm not looking into that, so yeah. How to measure with your hands. Well, let's see. The span from your pinky finger to your thumb is approximately 20 centimeters. Then from your, I don't know, I think it's the first finger. I don't know what it's called. You know, the one between the middle finger and the thumb. You know, index finger. Yeah, of course, index finger to pinky is 15 centimeters. Your fist is approximately 10 centimeters wide. 3 fingers, 5 centimeters. Your thumb, 2 centimeters, which could actually be the case. And your pinky in width is 1 centimeter. And yeah, I think I'm gonna end the episode there. So I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're gonna rise yourself and you're gonna be remembered. This basically means your legacy basically means just being a nice person, the paper person, which is a pretty fucking cool thing. 3 other questions that I have you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully gonna show you your purpose and maybe even a business, which is a pretty fucking cool thing. One last thing that I want to give you is, what could you essentially say to another person that's indeed going to change their life? Because I totally believe that we all can say something and we all can communicate something that's indeed going to change somebody's life. But yeah, that being said, hopefully going to see you the next time. So, bye-bye.